Hey kids, Evil-Linn here. And, by the power of Grayskull, let's talk Superman. James Gunn's Superman marks a sharp tonal shift from the brooding seriousness of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel to a far more lighthearted, comic-inspired style. Instead of grim realism, Gunn delivers a delightfully goofy crowd-pleaser that feels like a feature-length comic book splash page, unapologetically silly and earnest in equal measure. Where Man of Steel was somber and grounded, Gunn's take realizes that since we're dealing with a world full of superpowered beings, the sky's the limit for fantastical events. There's nothing grim here. One moment, a tiny creature can inexplicably turn into a giant kaiju for Superman to battle, with no realistic explanation given. The film fully embraces a Silver Age comic sensibility, cramming in wild sci-fi elements and absurd humor. This lighter approach makes Superman feel fresh and fun, but it also means the movie sometimes avoids taking itself seriously, which is a double-edged sword. While many will welcome the optimistic, brightly colored adventure, some viewers might find the perpetual silliness undermines the story's stakes. One of the film's biggest strengths is its cast. David Corenswet is a likable, affable Superman and Clark Kent, bringing oodles of charisma to the role and making it easy to buy him as both a nerdy reporter and a heroic Man of Steel. Rachel Brosnahan shines as Lois Lane, played with the perfect amount of spark, and she shares crackling chemistry with Corenswet's Clark. Their banter, especially in a standout interview scene, is full of charm and genuine warmth. Nicholas Hoult, as Lex Luthor, delivers a memorable villain performance. His Lex is a smarmy, sniveling billionaire obsessed with bringing down Superman, essentially a slimeball we love to hate. And Holt is shockingly good in the role. The actor's strong performance grounds the film's outrageous plot turns with real personality, which helps keep us invested. Visually, Superman is often stunning. Gunn leans into vivid comic book imagery with brightly colored scenes and over-the-top set pieces. The movie revels in its fantastical elements, from Superman's Fortress of Solitude, filled with quirky Kryptonian tech, to high-flying battles across Metropolis, all presented with a crisp, colorful flair reminiscent of comic panels. This film doesn't shy away from comic lore. In fact, it delights in it. We get treats like Superman's superdog Krypto, an adorable scene stealer, and a cavalcade of DC Easter eggs. Gunn's affection for the weirder aspects of Silver Age comics is evident. Bizarre ideas that would be jarring in a darker film, giant monsters, interdimensional prisons, even an army of social media trolling cybermonkeys, are included here with a wink and a smile. When the tone is light and fun, these wild comic book vibes come across as a bold, entertaining choice. The film's gee-whiz mentality and embrace of corny heroism give it an earnest heart. At its best, this Superman film captures the optimistic spirit of its source material, celebrating kindness and heroism with a genuine, uncynical enthusiasm. It's easy to find yourself grinning at the screen during these moments. For all its charm, Superman isn't without flaws. In many ways, the film is overstuffed with plot and frantically paced, trying to do a bit too much. Gunn wisely avoids the origin story trap. The movie drops us right into Superman's world, assuming we know the basics. The story opens after Kal-El has already been active for about 3 years, in a world where other metahumans, essentially superheroes, are an established reality. This approach spares us yet another retelling of Krypton's destruction, or the Kent Farm, which is refreshing. However, the downside is that it can feel like we've jumped into the middle of a saga without proper setup. The script races through exposition faster than a speeding bullet, to the point that some viewers might be bothered over how little setup there is. We're introduced to a host of side characters and DC lore on the fly, which may leave viewers who aren't hardcore comics fans feeling a bit lost. The film's mad dash introductory course to the DCU means many characters crowd the story. For example, a government-sponsored trio called the Justice Gang shows up to assist Superman, featuring Guy Gardner's Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific. But they don't get much development beyond a few gags. Nathan Fillion's Guy is good for laughs, and Edie Gathigi's Mr. Terrific actually steals scenes to the point you want more of him, but Hawkgirl remains fairly underused. Likewise, one of Lex Luthor's henchmen is Angela Spiker, aka the Engineer, an obscure anti-heroine from the Authority comics who shows up to fight Superman's robot helpers. While these cameos and deep-cut characters will thrill DC aficionados, they add to the feeling of character bloat. The movie already has its hands full with Superman, Lois, Lex, and the central conflict. Piling on extra heroes and villains, mainly to set up future franchise threads, can make the narrative feel unfocused. The film relies a bit too much on having a broader knowledge of DC comic lore, expecting the audience to recognize people like Metamorpho in Lex's lair, which not everyone will. Casual viewers might find themselves wondering if they missed a previous film that introduced all these elements. Story and pacing issues extend to the core plot as well. Superman's power level is never clearly established through action. We're told he's the most powerful metahuman ever, but the film rarely pauses to show off his full capabilities. In fact, Gunn makes a point of showing that this Superman can be vulnerable. He's super strong, but is continuously bested in this story. Our very first glimpse of Superman has him bloody and bruised from a fight, calling for Krypto's help. While this humanizes the hero and raises the stakes, it also means we never get that awe-inspiring moment of Superman at full strength triumphing until maybe the very end. Some may feel unfulfilled with this approach. Additionally, Gunn's script at times leans on very on-the-nose dialogue to spell out character motivations. Characters openly declare their feelings or plans. Lois explicitly questioning Superman's right to intervene in world affairs, for example, which can feel heavy-handed. These exposition-heavy exchanges can sink like a lead balloon, rather than letting the storytelling imply or build these ideas more organically. Some of the narrative choices are also questionable. Midway through the film, a shocking revelation about Superman's Kryptonian parents is unveiled. Okay, quick spoiler alert, you've been warned. A hidden recording from Jor-El and Lara apparently shows they sent baby Kal-El to Earth to lord over humanity. This twist briefly turns public opinion against Superman and puts him in an identity crisis. Initially, it seems like a hoax by Lex, but the film confirms the translation is legitimate, implying Superman's noble parents had a darker intention for his destiny. It's an odd plot device that many fans may find jarring. Even more baffling is how quickly Superman seems to accept this disturbing news. He more or less takes the word of others that the message is real, without insisting on verifying it beyond a doubt. This is out of character for the normally inquisitive, truth-seeking Clark Kent, and it's likely to leave viewers scratching their heads. The idea of a hero grappling with the possibility of a conquer-the-world mandate from his parents could have been a weighty, dramatic thread, but the film doesn't devote much time to it, beyond using it as a catalyst for Lex's schemes. And speaking of Lex, as entertaining as Nicholas Holt's performance is, Lex Luthor's personal vendetta against Superman lacks depth. We meet Lex already full-blown obsessed with taking Supes down, having spent a fortune on anti-Superman projects purely because he hates the idea that this charming alien showed up and won over the masses. The film doesn't really explore why Lex developed such hatred. There's no prior interaction or ideological clash shown between them, only Lex's envy and ego. We're essentially dropped into the climax of Lex's master plan without seeing its genesis. While this keeps the pace brisk, it also feels like a missed opportunity. Watching Lex's resentment build over time, or understanding more of his worldview, could have given the conflict greater impact. Instead, Lex's scheme is in full swing from the outset, which in this movie includes some truly zany elements. He not only engineers a smear campaign to tarnish Superman's reputation, but even creates an unstable pocket-dimensional hideout outside of any government's reach. In this secret lair, Lex imprisons various people, from political prisoners and dissenters to his own ex-girlfriends, and even Superman himself at one point. Most bizarrely, Lex's high-tech prison contains an army of rage-bait keyboard monkeys, literal monkeys, on computers, who flood social media with anti-Superman propaganda and toxic hashtags. This over-the-top plan to cancel Superman online is played for laughs and is indeed a pointed meta-commentary, given Gunn's own run-ins with internet mobs, but it exemplifies how the film often veers into cartoonish territory. Depending on your taste, Lex's absurd pocket dimension of evil will either be a hilarious high point or a sign that the movie isn't taking its dramatic potential seriously. It's certainly creative, but it edges close to outright farce at times. Finally, the film's eagerness to be exhilarating and fast-paced means it never slows down long enough to let certain emotional beats land. Major events, the international crisis that Superman intervenes in, his moment of doubt after the Kryptonian message, even the turning of public opinion, are quickly rushed through on the way to the next set piece. The result is a fun ride that lacks a bit of heft. James Gunn's Superman ends up as a crowd-pleasing spectacle that might leave you smiling, but it likely won't leave you deeply moved or thoughtful in the way the best superhero films do. In summary, Superman is an enjoyable but imperfect reboot of the iconic hero. It succeeds as a pleasantly light cartoon fantasy about the value of decency and hope. It's good, but not great. More of a good time than a masterpiece. On the positive side, it gives us an upbeat, optimistic Superman in a brightly colored, more than a little silly adventure that captures the earnest spirit of the comics. The cast is universally strong, and the movie's sense of fun and wonder is infectious. However, the flip side is an overstuffed story that's afraid to pause for breath, a plot that leans heavily on DC insider knowledge, and a reluctance to ever truly soar into meaningful territory. Fans who always wanted a lighter, friendlier Superman will find a lot to love here, as will those who enjoy deep-cut DC references and zany comic book antics. If you can embrace the cornball charm and occasional absurdity, you'll likely walk away with a goofy grin. But viewers hoping for the epic gravitas of Man of Steel or a tightly focused narrative may come out feeling that this new Man of Tomorrow doesn't quite live up to his potential. At least, not yet. Superman is a bold new direction for the DC universe, one that succeeds in reintroducing hope and humor to Superman's world, even as it stumbles in narrative execution. It's a promising foundation that, with a bit more balance between fun and focus, could lead to truly great things in the future of the franchise. Overall, Superman's return to the big screen under Gunn's guidance is an entertaining ride with a heart of gold, but it leaves us eager to see a sequel that can build on this foundation and reach the lofty heights we know the Man of Steel is capable of. Thank you so much for listening to me babble. Please take the time to comment, like, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Now be gone, puny human, for there is evil to be done.